Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the rich legends and culture of this iconic region. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on our latest desert adventures. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Imagine this. You're hiking through the stunning red rock country of Arizona, camera in hand, when you stumble into a hidden canyon. Ancient stone structures emerge from the shadows, their walls scarred by pick marks. Mine shafts yawn like black mouths in the cliff faces. Your heart pounds as you realize you've found something incredible, but when you try to return with others, the canyon has vanished as if it never existed. This isn't science fiction. It's the maddening reality that has haunted treasure hunters for over 4 centuries. Welcome to the legend of the Lost Canyon of Gold, where fortunes have been made, lives have been lost, and one of America's greatest treasures remains hidden somewhere in the Arizona wilderness. Our story begins in 1583, when Spanish conquistador Antonio de Espejo led his men into what would become one of history's most profitable and cursed mining operations. De Espejo wasn't looking for gold that day. His mounted expedition had become hopelessly lost in a maze of red sandstone canyons near present-day Sedona, Arizona. While setting up camp and sending scouts to find a way out, 2 of his men made a discovery that would change everything. There, gleaming in the canyon wall like a golden scar, was the thickest vein of gold ore any of them had ever seen. De Espejo made a fateful decision. Forget the original mission. They were staying to mine this treasure. Within weeks, his soldiers had constructed stone and timber living quarters using the canyon's abundant resources. But the Spanish had an even darker plan. A large party rode south and returned with a horrifying cargo: 100 enslaved Native Americans, chained and forced to work the mines. For 3 months, the operation ran like clockwork. Indigenous slaves worked the shafts while Spanish soldiers smelted the extracted ore into gleaming ingots. The gold accumulated in underground chambers, waiting for transport to Mexico City and eventually Spain. De Espejo's men grew comfortable, wealthy, confident in their remote fortress. Then the attacks began. Native American tribes, enraged by the enslavement of their people, launched a guerrilla war that would make the canyon run red with blood. Daily hunting parties were ambushed. Nighttime raids killed a dozen Spanish soldiers. The harassment was relentless, the casualties mounting. Finally, De Espejo made the only rational choice: evacuation. But here's where the story gets interesting. Before fleeing, De Espejo did something that would echo through the centuries. He carefully mapped the canyon's location and documented everything in detailed diary entries. These precious documents were filed away in the Catholic Church archives in Mexico City, where they would wait like ticking time bombs. 20 years later, church officials discovered De Espejo's records. Their eyes must have widened at the descriptions of easy wealth just waiting in the northern wilderness. In 1603, they dispatched a new expedition that successfully relocated the canyon and resumed mining operations. Church records describe tremendous amounts of gold being extracted year after year. But this was just the beginning. The real gold mine, literally, began in 1719 when priests rediscovered the documents yet again. This time, they weren't taking any chances. They assembled a massive operation: mining engineers, priests, soldiers, and a horrifying addition: 200 enslaved Opata Indians captured during their journey north and marched 250 miles in chains. What happened next represents one of the darkest chapters in American mining history. For 40 years, from 1719 to 1760, the Spanish ran what can only be described as a death camp with a profit motive. Enslaved workers toiled 16 hours a day in the suffocating mine shafts, slept in the open air regardless of weather, and survived on starvation rations. Many died from exposure, hunger, and exhaustion, their bodies simply discarded as the cost of doing business. The operation was staggeringly profitable. Hundreds of burro loads of gold ingots made the journey to Mexico City, enriching the Catholic Church treasury beyond the wildest dreams of its administrators. For 4 decades, this canyon was quite possibly the most profitable gold mine in North America. Then, in 1760, something happened. The Spanish simply vanished. No explanation was ever recorded, no gradual wind down, no official closure. They just disappeared, leaving behind sealed mine shafts, abandoned equipment, and a mystery that persists to this day. The canyon slept undisturbed for nearly a century until 1853, when a desperate man named Clifford Haines stumbled upon it during the worst day of his life. Haines was fleeing Hualapai Indians who had just killed his 3 prospecting companions. Desperate and terrified, he spurred his horse into the first canyon he could find and rode straight into history. The sight that greeted him was both thrilling and chilling. Ancient stone buildings stood like sentinels in the canyon shadows. Mine shafts gaped in the cliff walls, their wooden supports rotting after decades of abandonment. Haines explored 3 of the tunnels and emerged with chunks of gold ore so rich they made his hands shake with excitement. He raced to Tucson, gathered investors, planned his return expedition, and was killed the next morning when his horse fell on him. The location of the canyon died with him. 21 years later, a man named John T. Squires arrived in Santa Fe with a tattered, ancient map supposedly showing the canyon's location. Squires and his small party actually found it, cleaned out the old dwellings, reopened 2 promising mines, and successfully extracted gold. Success seemed assured. But when Squires returned from a supply run to Santa Fe, he discovered the canyon occupied by nearly 100 hostile Native Americans. His miners had been working peacefully for 2 days when the attack came. Squires was miles away hunting deer with 2 companions when they saw smoke rising above the canyon rim. Racing back, he witnessed a scene of absolute devastation. All his men dead, the buildings burning, and Native Americans actively sealing the mine entrances with rocks and debris. Spotted by the attackers, Squires barely escaped with his life. He spent months planning revenge with a larger, better-armed expedition, but fate intervened again. He was killed in a gunfight in Taos, and the only map showing the canyon's location was accidentally burned days later. What makes this story so compelling and so frustrating is the pattern that emerged. People kept finding the canyon, then losing it again. In 1896, a railroad meat hunter named William Howard accidentally discovered it while hunting game. He found artifacts from Squires' expedition scattered in the ruins, confirming he'd found the right place. But when he tried to return with partners, he couldn't relocate it. Howard spent years searching, eventually claiming he'd found it again and was actively clearing debris from a mine shaft. But he stopped talking about his progress and died in 1916 without revealing whether he'd struck gold or simply given up. The 1920s brought another accidental discovery by a cowhand looking for stray cattle. He saw the ancient structures and mine shafts, but had no idea what he'd stumbled upon and never returned. In the 1930s, a pilot spotted the ruins from the air and directed archaeological enthusiasts to the site, but they dismissed it as unimportant. Perhaps the most tantalizing near miss came in 1937, when a Virginia tourist photographed the canyon during a hiking expedition. An old cowboy at a guest ranch recognized the significance of the structures in the photos and knew the legend of De Espejo's mine. Together, They tried desperately to relocate the canyon but failed completely. Even the photographer's son tried in 1946 using his father's pictures as a guide, but changing landscape from forest fires and flash floods had altered too many landmarks. Today, the Lost Canyon of Gold remains one of America's most tantalizing unsolved treasures. Somewhere in the labyrinthine canyon country of southern Coconino County, Arizona, lies a fortune that has been accumulating interest for over 400 years. The Spanish left behind not just rich ore veins in the canyon walls, but potentially refined gold ingots sealed inside the mines during their hasty 1760 abandonment. What makes this treasure hunt so maddening is that the canyon keeps being found, just never when people are looking for it, and never by people who can successfully return. It's as if the canyon itself is cursed, revealing its secrets only to snatch them away again. The maddening truth is that someone will find it again. They always do, eventually. The question is whether they'll recognize what they've found and whether they'll be able to return with the tools to unlock its secrets. History suggests that the canyon reveals itself only to those who aren't looking, then vanishes like a mirage when they try to return with others. Somewhere in the red rock country of Arizona, beneath centuries of forest growth and behind walls of sandstone, Antonio de Espejo's Lost Canyon waits with its incredible fortune of gold. It's a treasure that has claimed lives, destroyed dreams, and fueled legends for over 400 years. If you would like to see a lost gold story by where I grew up, click on the link in the description. Join my Patreon community and discover my art print products on my website in the links provided in my description and link above. Also, if you would like a particular image from my videos, give the timestamp for image and I will upload it to my website and Patreon. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan for another Southwest Gold story. Check out my large catalog of Southwest videos and playlists on historical tales, legends, lost gold stories, and adult bedtime stories. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.